Well, this is great. When I graduated first grade, all my father did was tell me to get a job. Hey, you want to feed that donkey some beer? Get it all messed up?
Maybe later.
I'll go put some beer in a bucket.
Okay.
And now, making his network television debut, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Norm Macdonald.
So I had this dream today. You ever have a dream, and then you wake up right in the middle of a great dream, and then you're back in your stinking life again? So then you try to fall asleep, re-dream it? Man, that never works.
Burt Reynolds.
That's not my name.
Okay. Turd Ferguson.
Yeah, what do you want? I got a question there. When do we get to light our torches?
When it gets dark.
Ah, I see. Oh, hey, I got another question there. Suppose, hypothetically, a guy had already lit his torch. I mean, it'd be cool if he could just keep it lit, huh? You fellas have a lot of growing up to do, I'll tell you that. Ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. Can you believe these characters? O.J. Simpson's new fitness video was released this week, and hitting the shelves next week, Simpson's newest video, Dorf on Stalking. The crowd is torn.
Mr. Reynolds, what are you doing?
Yeah, I found this backstage. Oversized hat. It's funny.
No, it's not.
Sure it is. It's funny. It's funny because it's bigger than a normal hat.
I see that.
You know what hurts the most is the lack of respect. You know? That's what hurts the most. Except for the other thing, that hurts the most. But the lack of respect hurts the second most. I think Billy and his girlfriend are playing water polo or something.
God bless you. Watching your set was like watching Henry Fonda pick blueberries.
Now, wait a minute.
What's that? Oh, he wants to say something.
No, I just think it would be why, I don't think there's a person in here that would not love to watch Henry Fonda pick blueberries. This week marked the 5,000th performance of the Broadway musical Cats. It also marked the 5,000th time a guy turned to his wife and said, "What the hell is this?" Way out of line, way out of line. Have a good mind to go to the warden about this. Yeah, well, things could be worse, I could have got my nose bit off by a Saigon whore.
You bastard!
So this waiter comes to our table, Paul, and he's one of the real oily guys. You know those kind of guys, real oily? He looks right at me, he gives me one of these, like, hey, enjoying your shrimp? Hey, enjoying it.
So, he wanted to know if you enjoyed the shrimp. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Next on News 9, a shocking story of power and corruption involving a hotel tycoon. How his 27-year-old millionaire son cheated his way through elementary school. Stay tuned.
What the hell?
And now maybe it's somebody else.
But if something is true, it is not sentimental. And I say in truth, I love you. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Weaver, McKenna, you're free to go.
Ridiculous.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Iron on Wrestling with Gregory Iron. This is episode 121. And yes, it is the 2-year anniversary of this podcast. Terrible Twos. And what a show we have for you today. Our guest is one of the first guests ever to be on the show. Once known as Curt Stallion, he's now known as Stallion Rogers. He's back on the show for the first time since, I believe, episode number 5. Wow. It's been a long time coming. From the independents to WWE and back on the independents again. Even a cameo in AEW recently. We figure out what happened with Stallion Rogers? What's next? I feel like a lot of good things in his future, and I can't wait to talk to Stallion later on in this show. There's a lot of things we got to talk about because, man, 2 years. I mean, where does the time go? It feels like just yesterday I started this Oh, thank you for the applause. I appreciate that.
People say you're over the hill, don't believe them. Why, you'll never be over the hill, not in the car you drive.
Okay.
Greg Giraldo is here. He has the grace of a swan, the wisdom of an owl, and the eye of an eagle. Ladies and gentlemen, this man is for the birds.
Pardon the interruption.
Oh, hey there.
Hey, Aaron Bauer's in the house. Sorry to start off a little somber, but my favorite comedian passed away just recently, and I feel like he was one of your favorites, and you went to see him live not too long ago?
I did, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago.
Norm Macdonald, the great Norm Macdonald.
Yes, one of the best of all time, passed away, I believe, last Wednesday.
Yeah, the incomparable Norm Macdonald.
The
showstopper.
He was quite the showstopper. I was thrown off by it. I think a lot of people were thrown off by it.
A main eventer.
Yes. He could have been a main eventer for longer on SNL if he wouldn't have got fired. Probably for all those OJ jokes that he made during the trial.
But those weren't my favorite thing. My favorite was this the roast of Bob Saget.
I mean, everybody loves the roast of Bob Saget. How could you?
I don't know if people even know it.
No, a lot of people know that.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I remember I did the roast of Brandon X as requested by Brandon X.
Oh, he requested his own roast. Okay.
I think he was getting married the next day, and there was a little get-together for those that were involved in the wedding, or like a pre-wedding dinner party.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to come up with the roast for him, and he wanted me to talk about things that really happened.
Okay.
I wasn't quite in agreement with that. And I just remembered that my favorite roast of all time was the Norm Macdonald roast of Bob Saget. So if you would be so kindly to allow me, I'd like to put little bits and pieces of his jokes in this podcast.
Sure. I don't mind at all. I love Norm, and I think for a long time subconsciously as a kid, and I realized it as I got older, a lot of the things that I say, the way I deliver jokes, comes from watching Norm so often on Weekend Update. And I guess one of the first things that comes to mind is whenever I say something like, oh, what's that word I'm looking for? What are the words I'm looking for? I always... It comes from when Norm would say something like, "Oh, what do you call her? Oh, dirty whore," like shit like that. So it's almost like the way he delivered jokes. It was like the obvious joke that was right in front of you, but the joke that you wouldn't expect them to just come out and say. That's the way Norm was.
He took like a different route to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like the scenic route, as opposed to like, let's not just go straight to it.
Right.
And let's look around for a little bit and enjoy this.
Well, I think when you talk about taking the scenic route when it comes to jokes, I think one of his most infamous jokes was that on Conan O'Brien, the Moth Joke. Do you remember that one?
No.
So basically, it was a 20-second joke that he got from Colin Quinn, who also did Weekend Update following Norm's firing. And basically, it's this short Moth joke. So Norm's on Conan. He thinks he's doing one segment. They're about to go to break, and Conan says, when we come back, more Norm. So Norm didn't have any material. And so then as they're coming back, he's like, how long is this next segment? Like 30 seconds? And he goes, it's 6 minutes. So he took this Moth joke, and he drug it out for 6 minutes. And we should probably play it at the end of the show if you've never heard it, but it's worth hearing. If it doesn't end up on this episode, go out of your way to search for it on YouTube. Just Norm Macdonald Moth Joke. Just incredible stuff.
See, the crowd's starting to realize what he's doing here.
Sure. Purposely bombing.
Susie Essman, of course, is famous for being a vegetarian. Hey, she may be a vegetarian, but she's still full of baloney in my book.
So
Come
ridiculous.
on. Yeah, and just his delivery was always so good.
Oh, yeah. Rest in peace, Norm. And we're going to play some stuff throughout the show to honor Norm, even though he has nothing to do with wrestling. However, he does have a joke about wrestling that he once said on Twitter where he said, my dad used to beat me with his belt. It was much worse when he became the WWE champion. So that's a joke that he put on Twitter.
Yeah.
So, love Norm.
Yeah, he's great.
Miss him. 9 years battling cancer.
Mm-hmm. Didn't tell anybody.
Did you hear the audio clip he talked about? That I guess to sort of end this segment about Norm, where he talked about dying. Have you heard that on YouTube?
No.
So I found that and I listened to it, and something that he said really hit me. He said, because he always struggled with mortality and death really bothered him, and I think it does a lot of people. And he was talking about how he had heard so-and-so talking about how one of their relatives was battling cancer. And again, this is recorded during the time that we find out now that he is himself battling cancer. And he said, like, oh, so courageous how my uncle, whoever they were talking about, how my uncle was battling cancer. And Norm said, when I hear that, I think to myself, is it courageous to tell all of your family and friends that you're dying, to make them feel sorry for you and worry about you, and then, just one day you're gone, and they have to suffer through the whole thing just as you're suffering? And he goes, I think it's more courageous to just keep it to yourself and try fighting it and not having anyone else deal with the pain. And then just one day you're gone. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, he was doing that while he was saying it. It's sort of, maybe that is braver. I mean, I'm not taking away any bravery from anybody that is battling cancer and sharing it, obviously, because I immediately thought to myself when he said that, I'm like, wow, I think Norm's right. It is braver to keep it to yourself. But if I was diagnosed with cancer tomorrow, I would tell everyone because I'm just, you don't know how to deal with something like that, I feel like,
PayPal, Gregory Smith.
Okay, I would not, no, not necessary. I have insurance.
Oh, okay. My eyes are looking a little saggy lately. Please PayPal Gregory Iron.
That was a joke.
Okay.
That was a joke.
It was the $150 you got sent a joke?
I didn't get $150.
$175.
It was like $65. So, okay. And it's not going.
Meanwhile, I've been on here saying I don't even have a debit card anymore. Somebody hacked my account. Can I tell you the latest story?
Sure, go ahead.
I was being sent my new debit card, and I was immediately called by my bank. Sunday. On a Sunday, they called me.
The day of the week that reeks of rest.
Yes. And the woman said, hi, this is Bank Fraud Center calling you. And I said, okay, do you have my new card ready? And she said, well, kind of that's what we're calling for. We just want to check because this is unusual activity on your account. There is a charge attempted for $299 for a service. Have you spent $299? I said, no. What service? She said, oh, it's an escort service.
Okay.
And I said, it's just me and my dad watching the Cleveland Browns game. We don't have any hookers over here.
Yeah. And
she said, okay, well, I'll put that down as a dispute. So we're canceling the card we sent you. Now you got to wait 10 to 12 more days.
That's unfortunate. Quite the dispute. But so I have to ask as a follow-up, how did you and your father enjoy the hooker?
Well, she was nothing. She never, no, I mean.
Oh, okay. Wow. Quite the dirty whore, if I do say so myself. I just paused to eat some oatmeal. And I forgot what we were just talking about. But it's okay.
Here, I got you.
Okay.
Gilbert Godfrey, one of my best friends. I love Gilbert. When you go to the men's room later, you'll see a sign that says, "Gentlemen, pay no heed, go right in." There's no room that says "scoundrel" on it. But now we come to Bob Saget, and that's why.
Okay. What courage to just purposely suck. It'd be like me going to the ring and just purposely botching spots to make my friends laugh. Actually, kind of did that with RJ City, to be honest. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to compare myself to Norm Macdonald, because no one can compare to Norm Macdonald. But me and RJ City doing our self-aware feud where we just broke all the rules, and it worked. I feel like that really defines Norm Macdonald. He broke all the conventional rules of comedy, and it just worked. And
What day is it?
Today?
What day is it?
Monday?
October?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Billy Madison.
Nudie Magazine Day.
Yep.
Nudie Magazine Day.
What's the one part in Billy Madison where it's like, local millionaire's son cheats his way through elementary school, and then, Billy's dad goes, "What the hell?" And Norm goes, now, they could be talking about someone else. Okay.
And this shirt here, this is Frank's.
Yep. Oh, boy.
Yep.
All right, so 2-year anniversary of the show. Lots of highs, lots of lows. We've been through a lot together. Today we circle back to one of our first interviews with Stallion Rogers. I'm very excited about that later in the show. Very interested in what Stallion has to say. I do believe this is his first podcast interview since being released from the WWE. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I don't know if this is the case with Stallion, we will find out for sure. But I know when we talked to him the first time around, back in 2019, his goal was the WWE. And he knew without a shadow of a doubt that is where he would end up. We'll find out later during the interview. But I feel like Stallion was very underrated and was released seemingly out of nowhere before he really even got the chance to shine. Over the years, we find out that in WWE, there have been several releases over the years where guys left, were fired, and they came back better than ever. And I do believe that if the opportunity presents itself and if Stallion Rogers wants to go back to WWE, I believe this could perhaps be an opportunity for him to prove that he is, without a doubt, one of the best in the world. And he could return to the WWE better than ever. And I wanted to talk about on the show today perhaps some exits from the WWE, whether it was by their own doing or because of a firing, to where those individuals came back better than ever. Aaron, would you like to talk about that right here, right now, in front of all these people?
No, I'm good.
Okay, well,
Figured I'd take the day off.
that seems like a horrible idea on the 2-year anniversary
give the crowd
show.
a kiss and we'll take it home, brother.
No, we're not going to do that.
Oh, okay.
No, I feel like we should do what I just said.
Oh, okay. Well, it's your show.
Well, where do you want to start?
I don't know. I didn't even hear what you said. I was trying to plug in my phone charger.
Okay. Wrestlers that left WWE or somewhere else, if you could think of somewhere else, but then whether they left or were fired, then came back better than they were the first time that they were in the company. Who comes to mind?
That's a tough one. Also because I, again, was not paying attention to what you asked me. I was adjusting my sock at this point.
Crazy sock?
Oh,
Kidnap socks?
no.
You got a little taste of that last week on episode 120.
Taste of them socks.
It was part of a bonus episode, which is up right now on patreon.com/Iron on Wrestling. You can hear the whole episode about not only crazy socks, but mental health. A good discussion that we had with Patreon member Uncle Bobby. Patreon.com/Iron on Wrestling, where you get bonus content starting at $3. All the audio, most of the video, $5 where you can get all the video, $9 where you can get involved in Zoom calls and bonus podcast subjects, which you can choose once a month. Fun for everybody over there, including $20 and up tier, where if you sign up this month, or the next month, or the next month, you want to keep your subscription for the next 2 months, you will qualify to get the t-shirt that we were only offering for August members. We drug it out because it's such a good shirt and people were interested. If you sign up for the $20 or up tier, you're going to get an exclusive shirt from the Howard Animal Steel package, which we offered in August, but it's going to be combined with October, so you're going to get 2. That's right, 2 packages for the price of 1 package. Oh, actually.
But we haven't told them the breaking news yet, have we?
What's the breaking news?
Bing, bada, bing, bing, bing. Bing, bada, bing, bing, bing. Breaking news. Bing, bada, bing, 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 bada, bing, 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 bada, bing, bing, bing.
Making something up, but okay. I'll humor you. I don't know why you meowed.
I did meow.
Again. That was
when a guitar, goes.
Sounds just like when you are a cat being stepped on, but continue.
Gosh, I hadn't even thought to do any cat jokes today. Okay. Man, well, we'll wait. Okay.
Good.
Let's announce this first. The $99 tier. In that tier, you get a pair of Greg's ring-worn socks. Crazy socks.
Not true.
This man has crazy socks. Some of them are white. Some of them are black. Some of them are gray. Some of them have that yellow stripe that they wore in the 80s that go up to their knees. So please join the $99 tier. And we call that tier Big Soxy.
Okay, that's not a true tier, unless, of course, you are interested in some of my socks.
I'll throw some socks in, too.
Send me a DM. We can work something out. But, okay, so guys that left WWE and came back better. I'll start. Since you're an actual moron, you want to talk about anything else. I think one of the most obvious choices would be Drew McIntyre.
Okay.
He came into WWE. He started out pretty good. He was the chosen one. They pushed him. Maybe a little too soon, though, because they quickly lose faith in him, and then he becomes a member of 3MB. And
they're a 3-man band.
Yes, it was definitely over, but not over like being the main event over.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. So then, of course, Drew gets released. We think it might spell the end of Drew McIntyre, but he goes and reinvents himself on the independents as Drew Galloway, his real name.
Restructures his body, resculpts his body.
Yes, he got in tremendous shape. He ended up going and working in Evolve, and of course, he ends up going to Impact. He becomes the Impact champion. I want to point out that in Evolve, he ends up teaming with Johnny Gargano for a little period of time. And there's a photo that's circulating on the internet. You could just Google it and find it. When Johnny and Drew first teamed up, TV doesn't do Drew justice, I don't think, as to how tall he is. But when they put him next to Johnny, it became very evident that Drew is a gigantic individual. It's hilarious how much taller he is than Johnny. Johnny's like 5'10", Drew is like, 6'4" at the very least. I feel like he's overly tall, like Billy Gunn
type
stuff. Yes, for sure. One thing that I want to mention is, I think, and this is not my story to tell, but I'll tell it. Johnny had to wrestle Drew once on an indie show. Might have been Evolve or Dragon Gate before they started teaming up. And as they're planning the match, Drew said, "Boy, I wish we had more time to plan this." And he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, this is like a very intricate match, like WrestleMania type match. In WrestleMania, we get like a week to plan the match." And Johnny's like, "We got a couple hours, man. So you gotta remember this, man."
Yeah.
So, I feel like him going to the Indies and working with guys like Johnny helped Drew sort of reevaluate the way you call matches and really step up his game. Not that there was anything wrong with his game before, but sometimes when you get that rude awakening of a firing, whether it's merited or not, if you're good enough and you have a chip on your shoulder that drives you, it makes you want to come back better than ever. And I think he really proved himself on the Indies. He did it at Impact. He ends up coming back to NXT, and it's not long until he gets called up to the main roster, back again with Dolph Ziggler. And at first, and we've talked about it on the show, I wasn't really behind Drew McIntyre once he came back to the main roster because I felt like he just sort of was back to the same old, and he was just sort of with Dolph Ziggler, and then they did a thing where he just randomly lost to Dolph, even though Dolph was on this incredible losing streak. So then the one person he beats is Drew McIntyre, who is basically undefeated. And I just wasn't really interested in him until they somehow revived him at that Royal Rumble in 2020. And they booked Brock to dominate the first half of the Rumble, to the point where fans were actually getting upset about it, which is what you want to do, hard to do in this era of wrestling. Drew comes out, blasts him out of the Royal Rumble with a kick, and immediately, 1,000% behind Drew McIntyre. It saved his career in WWE for me, and I think he's been thriving ever since then. Well,
up until like 2 months ago. Do you feel like he's still got that momentum? Because he teamed with the Viking Raiders last week.
You know what I feel like? I feel like they're getting ready to reset him. I know we don't usually talk about current stuff.
I think they're getting ready to release him.
I don't think they're getting ready to release him. We're getting ready for another draft, right? And so I feel like they're booking him for a reset. Draft.
They got to shake things up again.
Yes, because we do know that whoever they switch to their brand at that period of time, like if they go from Raw to SmackDown or SmackDown to Raw or whatever the case, you know that they're going to be completely loyal to that brand in like 4 weeks of Survivor Series, and they're going to be willing to die for that brand that they just got switched to. Yep. And it's the one time of year where Raw and SmackDown collide. That never happens randomly on Raw or SmackDown ever.
Especially this week.
Only on Survivor Series does that happen. But we're getting off on a tangent here. I think Drew's going to get switched to SmackDown.
Yeah, I can see that.
They're sort of phasing him out of Raw. I don't agree with the way that it's being booked before he goes over to SmackDown, but I just feel like that's a WWE logic. Let's book him mid-card right now, and then we can fix things in a couple weeks when he goes to SmackDown.
Yeah, I can see that.
Can you name someone else that
flourished when they left the WWE?
Yeah, and came back
or
better.
Somewhere else or whatever. Yeah. Oh, and came back better?
Yeah, or went somewhere else and became better.
I was going to go with Taz.
Okay.
When Taz left WWE, he went to TNA, and I enjoyed his commentary work and stuff like that there more.
Yeah, he did the thing with Aces and Eights and like sort of made him pretty relevant again. That was nice because
so he was good. Yeah,
I don't know why you would have taken Taz out of storylines ever, because I think he proved more than with his wrestling in WWE that he was always a pretty solid talker, probably more than people realized. And I think there was a lot of emotional investment in Taz just as a mouthpiece. You know what I mean? Like, even when they sort of transitioned him away from the ring almost full time, like when he would be on commentary and he would still come back to, like, say, choke out Paul Heyman before Survivor Series 2001, when Paul Heyman is cutting that epic promo on Vince, talking about how Vince Sr. is dead and he would be ashamed of Vince for destroying the territories. And then he talks about where Paul just, it's like a backhanded compliment, looks over the announcer, look at Taz. He used to be a monster, and now he's just a fat commentator, or whatever he said. And then so Taz, like, stands up and he chokes him out, And around that same time, Taz is sort of like the voice of the alliance against Stone Cold Steve Austin. Everybody is sort of cowering in fear to the leader in Stone Cold Steve Austin, but not Taz. He won't back down, and so he gets a beating for it. We fast forward. Taz comes back out of retirement briefly to wrestle Jerry the King Lawler at One Night Stand 2006. I feel like there was just more opportunity to utilize Taz, and you said he did better in Impact, and I got to say he's probably doing his best work in years in AEW.
And that's where I was going to get to with that. Yeah, for sure. Him and AEW. Man, it's like the resurgence of Taz. You got Team Taz, and he's been flourishing.
Yeah, I even liked just a couple weeks ago, his promo with Punk, just the chemistry with him and Punk, just two good guys on the mic. Like, you gotta love it. Like, where Punk's cutting this promo about all the guys, like, polling the crowd, essentially. Like, who do you want to see me wrestle? And then Taz stands up. He's like, don't you ever mention anybody from Team Taz again? And CM Punk says, I literally didn't mention anybody from Team Taz. And he's like, yes, you did. He's like, no, I didn't. I didn't mention anyone.
You mentioned them in interviews.
Right.
And on Twitter.
Right, yep. But it's just good stuff. And you know what? His kid Hook, there's just something about his face that I just want to punch him repeatedly.
Yeah.
And I don't really get it on social media.
Yeah.
He's got a following, and I feel like the girls find him a little bit dreamy.
Yeah. And he does that. He does that stance that a lot of young indie wrestlers do, where they fold their arms. And then with their hands, they push their biceps out to appear to be much larger than what they actually are.
Sure.
Yeah, I've seen you do it. Brandon X still does it.
I don't do it. That would require me to have two arms in which to do that.
I think you do it.
I don't.
I've seen you.
It's not true. I have a gigantic tricep, so my tricep creates the illusion that my arms are bigger than they actually are.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been blessed genetically with great triceps. I'm very proud of it. Thank you, Daddy. Appreciate that.
You?
Well, I guess I'm interested to get your thoughts on this. You know, someone that was signed to WWE but never really made it to the main roster, developmental WWE, that is, Deep South, if we want to get more specific.
Oh, I thought you were going for Jake Lemons.
No, I wasn't going to mention Lemons.
Oh, okay.
Do you think Jake Clemens, referee for like 2 months on NXT, is now better than ever?
Yeah, I would say so.
Why?
Just, you can tell by his tweets.
I
haven't seen the man in action.
I actually saw a tweet from him where... Are you okay there?
Mm-mm.
Okay, good. I saw a tweet from him where he was randomly burying Joey Ryan, which I guess, sure, but I'm pretty sure Joey's never had an interaction with Jake, and I'll not defend Joey, of course. Like, Joey did some pretty heinous things, but for him to just sort of unnecessarily tweet about Joey just seems sort of out of character. I mean, I love Jake, but I don't know, really random. But anyways, I was going to say Deep South Wrestling, WWE Developmental, one Ken Omega. Ever hear of him before?
Did he change his name?
No, I just said Ken Omega because it was...
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Wanted to be weird. Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
Didn't really do much with him. He ended up going to Japan, really making a name for himself. Comes to AEW. And at first, you know what? I felt like, man, no one's career has sort of hit a plateau quicker than Kenny Omega. Then he turns heel. He aligns with the Young Bucks, who also turned heel. He's with the Good Brothers. And I got to say, I'm back on board with Kenny Omega. I think this is the best stuff he's been doing. I dig the Triple H Evolution facial hair that he's got from 2005. And as we record this, you guys are hearing this probably on Wednesday if you're listening to the free version. Tonight, he's going to wrestle in what is, without question, a dream match. Bryan Danielson on one of the biggest AEW events of all time in New York. I think Kenny Omega has just really reinvented himself a couple times over the past decade and a half, and I think WWE really dropped the ball when they didn't give him a chance 15-ish years ago. What do you say? I know you haven't always been the biggest Kenny Omega supporter.
No, loving him right now, though.
What has changed your mind?
He's just so cocky, and it's like he found his character. He knows his character.
Does he remind you of anybody? I mean, for me, he's very Shawn Michaels DX 1997.
Ah, okay. I almost said Bret Hart.
Not as lewd. Where do you get the Bret Hart features from?
Because Bret Hart was a good babyface for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But then when Bret Hart turned and was heel faction Hart Foundation?
Yes.
I felt like he hit his stride, and that's why I make the comparison with Kenny Omega, because Omega, he turned heel and feels like, he hit his stride with his faction.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, we could also say the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
They didn't get hired by WWE.
That's true. They were used as extras. They were used actually as, ironically, a fake Shawn Michaels and a fake Triple H in a segment for the 2006-2007 version of DX. They end up getting utilized arguably pretty poorly in Impact/TNA as Generation Me.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, and I remember, so I remember the scuttlebutt was that, and whatever. I heard Gabe Sapolsky, sort of said that, going at the time, this is at the time, he was using the Young Bucks pretty regularly in Dragon Gate. This is really the first time I was being exposed to the Young Bucks, and I remember thinking, these dudes are incredible. And being a wrestler, I could see that they had these intricate spots off the top rope and stuff that if you pay attention, you could see, like, clearly they do these every match, but it wasn't like your basic Bret Hart 5 moves of doom. They had like 5 or 6 flippy, intricate, killer tag moves of doom that never got boring no matter what. And I remember hearing through the grapevine that Gabe said that going to TNA was their dream. And they had attained their dream, and then they were just being mishandled, essentially. And they were given these weird names, like what was it, Max Buck or Jeremy Buck, and it was just weird. So then they end up taking a gamble on themselves. I remember I was on probably one of the first shows that they did after they left TNA.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was Chikara, New York. We were, doing merchandise together, just shooting the breeze and everything. And they were happy to be back on the indies. But you could sense on every show that I did after that with them that they were just out to prove that they were the best tag team in the world. And I mean, they went through the indies again. They did Chikara. I remember doing shows with them in the middle of the night at Juggalo Championship Wrestling, and they end up going back to Japan on a regular basis. They formed this stable called the Bullet Club. They end up forming also the Elite, and we fast forward, and now they are arguably 2 of the most powerful men in wrestling, on top of being one of the best tag teams, and it's really an incredible story.
The Bucks really grabbed my attention when I worked a show with them and AJ Styles and Mickey James down in
what was it? Remix
Wrestling or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
What was it? The Pound? What the fuck is that show?
Yeah, Down for the Pound or something.
I don't think it's something like that.
Yeah.
But Remix Pro Wrestling, they would always run shows in. Was it Marietta? Ohio?
That's it.
Okay.
Marietta.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Who was it? Chandler Biggins, myself, Ember Moon, and Veda Scott.
Okay.
We're driving down there. That's when Ember Moon, who was then known as Athena, she was just having a terrible day. She forgot her 8x10s at the arena the day before. She couldn't get into that arena to get the 8x10s. She asked us then to take her to Office Max so that she could get new 8x10s printed. Office Max that she had Googled had been out of business, I guess. When we arrived there, it had been out of business for like 6 months at the time.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. And eventually, I think we got a pastor or a preacher or a father or whatever to get the key to allow us into the building that Athena had wrestled the night before. And I believe she got her 8x10s. But she was in a sour mood, and we were halfway to Marietta, and she got a phone call from a blocked number. And if you have submitted your resume to WWE, you want to answer all restricted phone calls. So she answered the phone, and nobody thought anything of it. And we were all just kind of, I don't know, we were feeling her mood. You know, her mood was dictating the car ride at the time. And she was just so down and out about wrestling lately and whatever. And she got this phone call, and I was like, yes. Oh, I could do that. Oh, I can be there. Oh, I will be there. Okay. A flight. What time? Okay. No, I'll make sure. I was supposed to have a show that weekend. That's okay. I can be off that show. And she hung up, and she was like, guys, that was WWE. They want to bring me in.
Wow. You were there for that.
Yeah. I was in the vehicle with her. And we were all like, oh, yeah, congratulations. Hope you're in a better mood now.
Oh, congratulations. And then you patted her on the belly.
What's that mean?
Like Billy Madison?
Never saw it.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's where all that came from. But once we got to the event, the Bucks and AJ Styles, and I don't know them. You know, I mean, I've watched AJ before. I don't know how much I've watched the Bucks at this point.
Yeah.
But I said, man, these guys' line is like, for an autograph and a picture, it was like 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I could not believe it. They had to delay the start of the show. They had to make intermission extra time. And then they had to go on at the end of the show, after the show was done, to finish the autographs that they weren't able to sign and pictures that they couldn't take in the first two opportunities that they gave people.
Yeah.
Oh, what? That was a big deal.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, no, they kill it in merch. They always have. And, again, it's just a testament of how good they are. Not only are they just good in the ring, they're good dudes. You know, I think I've shared this story before, but yeah, there was a time where my brother Zach, that was his favorite tag team in wrestling. No, Zach Thomas.
Oh,
and
named after Zach Gowen.
It's not true. He was named after Zach Morris.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah, I did a show for 2CW New York. The Bucks were there. I was like, hey, my brother loves you guys. You're his favorite tag team. Will you take pictures with them? They're like, sure, absolutely. My brother paid for a shirt, but they also gave him an extra shirt. And I want to say that they gave him a Kevin Owens Young Bucks DVD as well, and they autographed it. Just good guys. You know, just went out of the way for my brother. I'll never forget that. There was a point in time where when I worked Pro Wrestling Syndicate on a regular basis, they were trying very hard there to book me and Gowen versus the Young Bucks for months and months and months, and it just never panned out because
the Bucks were like, man, we're not wrestling those jabronis.
Okay, yeah, that's not what happened.
That's just something I heard. It was on the internet.
It's not true.
It's from a source.
Never panned out because they were in Japan. All the dates that we ended up having with PWS. So.
Of course, although if you look up their cage match stats, they were in Indiana working.
Okay. Anyways, you son of a bitch. Someone else that I would say left and came back better than ever. Sting.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
WWE sucked for him.
Oh, okay.
Right?
That's true, yeah.
He left there.
It's a pretty bad an ending for him.
But how great has his TNA run been? I mean, capped off totally.
TNA?
Oh, shit. What is this new promotion?
AEW. Jesus.
Yes. Oh, his TNA run was all right, too. Joker Sting.
Come on.
Okay,
man.
so, oh, wait, what about the time that he wrestled Jeff Hardy? Okay, so actually, what I was getting at was AEW. What do you think his best moment in AEW was? Was it the time he no-sold the table? Was it the time Tully just jumped him and hit him with a chair shot and he no-sold that? Huh?
Him and Orange Cassidy.
What did they do?
You didn't see it?
Yeah, I saw it. That was fantastic.
I mean,
that's not what I would say was his best moment. So fucking cool for Sting to do that and give that to Orange Cassidy.
It was a great moment. I don't know if that's his best moment,
great
though.
moment. What was his best moment then?
I don't know. I mean, I think just in general, it's a series of moments. I think really what he's done for Darby Allin, adding to the mystique of his character, I think is incredibly important. You know, just being a mentor. And I
love seeing that, like, Big Brother is watching.
Yeah.
You know, Darby Allin.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's good stuff. I don't know if it's better wrestling-wise, though his wrestling stuff in WWE wasn't great. You could say that his match with Triple H was very overbooked, and the wrong person won. I feel like if you're going to establish this guy that has been dormant for years and has not wanted to come into the WWE...
you just put him in the Hall of Fame.
Right. Yeah, you would hope that he would win his first match, but no. And also, while it was cool to have the NWO versus D-Generation X during that match, it made zero sense for the NWO to come to the aid of Sting.
Why? He was in the Wolfpack. Wolfpack was part of NWO. Scott Hall, Wolfpack. Kevin Nash, Wolfpack.
Scott Hall was never Wolfpack.
You're a liar. You're a damn liar.
No.
And Hulk Hogan. They all ended up in some sort of NWO Wolfpack type of...
True.
Maybe it was NWO Elite.
True, but if you're...
Maybe it was NWO 2000?
No, but if you're talking the original White and Black...
I'm not talking that.
But I'm saying, like, you're talking in terms of storyline, Sting basically feuded with the NWO for the first 2 years of its
And then
inception.
he teamed with them.
He teamed with the Wolfpack, which is different. Like, he didn't team with Hogan.
Scott Hall ended up being part of the Wolfpack.
He didn't team with Hogan. Scott Hall was not in the Wolfpack.
And Sting and Hogan had teamed together in the past. During Thunder in Paradise, when they were both the stars of that show.
They weren't. Well, they were feuding on screen as well.
Yeah.
Sting played the role of a character named Hammerhead. Come on. Get with the program here, pal.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be a reoccurring character even more had they done a second season of Thunder in Paradise. Why do I know so much of Thunder in Paradise? I don't know. Probably shouldn't. But, yeah. But I guess you could make a point for Sting having better opportunities in AEW than he did in WWE during his last run. It's a better way to end his career, I would say.
Go ahead.
I was going to say Brock Lesnar. And you might, when I first say that, you think, well, what are you talking about? Brock was booked great when he was in WWE the first time around. Yes, for sure. He was pushed to the moon. He was one of the top guys. He ends on sort of a low note at WrestleMania 20 against Goldberg. Gets booed out of the building.
Mm-hmm.
One could argue, if Brock stays around, perhaps maybe we don't get John Cena. Or maybe we get John Cena, but he's not as big as Brock Lesnar. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't get that opportunity if Brock sticks around. But I think with Brock leaving, trying other things, which included going to the Vikings, going to UFC, being successful in UFC and coming back, made him more of a mainstream star. And I don't know if Brock is commanding the type of money and schedule that he is today had it not been for him leaving, establish himself in other areas of sports and media and coming back. And I think it's made him the draw that he is today, because I think Brock Lesnar, just as the former NCAA champion that he was, while a monster during his 2002-2004 run, I don't know if he has the same type of impact that he has currently after all of the accolades that he got outside of pro wrestling. Fair to say.
Yeah, I guess you make a valid point there.
Yeah.
I would not think of Brock Lesnar, so you kind of button-hooked me there.
I've never heard the term button hook.
Oh. Listen to Adam Sandler, What the Hell Happened to Me? And then the specific skit that I'm referring to is The Goat.
Oh, okay. All right.
So.
I'll look into it.
Okay.
You know who also left and came back better than ever that you probably wouldn't think about until I pointed out to you?
No, I don't.
Eddie Guerrero.
Oh, yeah. That's right. He left, and he was on the Indies for, 6 months or something?
Something like that, yeah. He left in 2001, started doing stuff like Ring of Honor.
Didn't he wrestle the Amazing Red?
He did.
Yeah.
Wrestled CM Punk.
I remember that kind of stuff.
There's actually a famous three-way from IW Mid-South where it's, again, doesn't seem like a real thing that happened, but it was CM Punk versus Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio on the Indies. What the fuck? That's a real thing. I believe 2002. Yeah, I think Eddie, being a raging alcoholic, getting fired, reclaiming his life, finding sobriety, fighting his way back to the WWE. I mean, I don't know if Eddie has the ability to become WWE champion if he doesn't leave and reestablish himself.
Yeah.
I mean, bottom line.
I can see that.
For sure. What about Daniel Bryan?
Leaving when he got fired over the tie incident?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, but I thought that was a work.
You think it was a work?
Sure do.
Why?
I don't know. I think they kind of had to, quote unquote, had to fire him. Because that went with their, their rules and their standards and practices.
True. I don't know if it was...
But it wasn't very long that he was gone.
I don't know if it was...
Long enough to work an AIW match against Johnny Gargano.
True, but I don't think the firing was a work. I think the circumstances in which he was fired was, I guess, sort of a work. It's like, hey, we have to fire you because of this, but we're going to bring you back in 3 months. We just got to let the heat die down.
Right.
But, I mean, he obviously gained a lot of traction just from that time in NXT, and I think that's really where, particularly in WWE, it's one of the first points in which the voice of the fans and the internet community is really being heard on WWE television. I guess if you want to go back a little further, perhaps maybe the Matt Hardy incident in 2005 with Lita is probably the first real signs of the internet's voice being heard and help bringing someone to prominence. But you could really say that Bryan didn't fit the mold when he was signed. They put him in NXT, which, if you're a younger fan, this is the actual NXT 1.0, which was the stupid game show that they had every week on Tuesday. If you've never seen this, go back and watch it, because it's ridiculous that this was a thing they put on television on a regular basis. Bryan was the guy that the fans wanted to get behind even then, and he was in a ridiculous feud with that. I was going to say Adam Cole, Michael Cole. He ends up doing the Nexus tie incident with Justin Roberts. He gets fired. He comes back 3 months later. He's in the main event of SummerSlam against the Nexus team with John Cena, Bret Hart, and a bunch of other guys. And it just sort of starts to grow from there. He wins Money in the Bank. He turns heel. He cashes in on the Big Show. We get the yes chance because he's an egomaniac. He ends up having this match with Sheamus. Everyone's looking forward to this match with Sheamus and Daniel Bryan, the match that we only got to see on a pre-show the year before. The match ends up happening on WrestleMania 28 and lasts about 30 seconds.
I thought it was 14.
Maybe that's right. Don't know for sure. I know it's under a minute. And the crowd completely shits on Sheamus, and they get behind Bryan more than ever. We get the yes movement. It changes his career. Punk leaves the company because he does not want to feud with Triple H. Bryan gets that spot, which he should have sort of had that spot anyways with all the momentum he had behind him following SummerSlam 2013, where Triple H cost him the title against Randy Orton. And then eventually we get WrestleMania 30, which is arguably one of the best moments in WrestleMania history, where Bryan, in the course of one night, beats all of the active members of Evolution, that being Batista, Randy Orton, and Triple H. And it's the ultimate underdog story, Daniel Bryan. But I don't know if he gets fired, if he doesn't get fired, if that happens.
No, it definitely doesn't.
So,
yeah, they heated up for him when he got fired, and he came back, and he had to be babyface. Didn't he end up joining Team WWE, or?
Yes.
Okay.
He did. And you know what? You could say that perhaps maybe, only time will tell, again, as we're recording this. It hasn't aired, but as you're listening to this on Wednesday, Bryan Danielson is going to wrestle Kenny Omega. And one can argue that his run towards the end here was a lot of up and down. He comes back out of retirement after we think we never are going to see Daniel Bryan compete again.
Right. And it should be huge and big babyface.
Sure. Well, immediately the angle that he's in, it was like, what was it again? It was
a weird feud between co-general managers.
Yeah, it was Bryan and Shane versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
And they did a thing where in the match, Bryan was taken out for most of the match.
Yeah.
Which was just, Bryan's going to come back, right? It just seemed like the weird thing to do in the scenario. And his comeback initially is just sort of meh. It's not until he turns heel that he sort of reinvigorates his character.
I love that heel turn.
It was great.
I love that heel run, I should say that.
The Planet Champion.
Yeah.
So good. But then after he turns babyface again, it's just kind of like, again.
Now all of a sudden he's got the leather strap.
Yeah. And then, of course, we do the deal at this past WrestleMania. And, of course, Brian had said it in interviews. He had the opportunity to go back with WWE. They offered him a handsome offer, but he wanted to explore this opportunity with AEW. So, could this be an opportunity for Brian to once again better himself with leaving one company and showing up in another one? I don't know. I think so. Only time will tell. I think it's going to make other people around him better too, especially because he has more creative input in what he does.
Is it hard for you to say Bryan Danielson? Still, yeah.
I mean, it was hard for me to
I
say
mean,
Daniel
I said
Bryan when it happened.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's so weird because
I remember when it was the name Daniel Bryan. I would think Bobby Beverly was the one that texted me and said they changed Bryan Danielson's name to Daniel Bryan. How dumb! Just keep it Bryan Danielson. I'm like, yeah. Oh God, I gotta call him Daniel. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh. And now it's just weird that it's back the other way around.
Yep, I feel the same.
Yeah.
But I like your point on all that, and I'll agree with everything.
What about, I guess one of the last ones here, there's probably some more that we can cover, but I think one of the obvious ones that we should talk about here that was really came out of nowhere.
R-Truth.
Yeah. Going from K-Quick,
yes,
just in a random tag team with Road Dogg, to being rehired and inevitably coming like a 69-time 24/7 champion. What a story.
Hey, man, this guy's been way more entertaining than I thought he could be.
That's also true. And also, I'd be remiss if we just overlooked his main event run in, 2011, 2012?
Was that against Cena?
Against Cena, and he's in the tag team main event match against The Rock and Cena with The Miz.
Yeah, and then little Jimmy.
Little Jimmy.
I thought that was a great angle.
It was awesome.
All right, go ahead.
I guess you can argue that R-Truth probably after leaving WWE and coming back, probably, yeah, he did do better. That's a fair point.
Because he left, he went to TNA. He became their world champion.
He did. First
black heavyweight champion.
Black NWA champion, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Because technically
Ron Simmons was WCW. Yeah.
Yes. So, that was an interesting angle in TNA, especially when they were like trying to plant seeds to almost turn Ricky Steamboat heel. You remember that? Which they never pulled the trigger on, but it would have been interesting because he had never, ever been a heel.
Oh, because I think Steamboat got hired away back to WWE.
Yeah, I think he got hired back as an agent.
Yeah, because they were going to have Steamboat be the commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was saying, like, R-Truth, man, they're trying to keep you down because you're black. They did that to me because I'm Hawaiian.
Mm-hmm.
So they were trying for something there.
Right.
And I'd always heard that Steamboat wanted to turn heel just to see how it would work.
Yeah.
And every company he worked for was like, there's no way.
I don't think WWE held Steamboat down because he was Hawaiian, though. I think
I think they just had to incorporate that.
Well, I was going to say, I think they held him down because he loved his wife and child and wanted to spend time with him.
Yeah.
Which also is...
That's a heel move, and if you're like a shoot heel move
What?
if you're in WWE.
You just won the Intercontinental title at the biggest WrestleMania of all time, and you want to take time off to spend time with your newborn child? Fuck you. You come back, you see how well we push you. And then, of course, he's in the tournament WrestleMania 4 and gets jobbed out right away. Brings his kid to the ring, though. That was nice. A little cute moment. And then ends up going to WCW, and he has that theme song.
He did have that theme
about how he's a family man.
I'm a family man.
Yeah.
I do what I can.
Yeah.
I used to be the Intercontinental Champion.
Very true.
But we have to bleep that out.
All right.
Because it's not copyrighted for us.
I think it's fine if you're singing it. If it's, I think you can sing it.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, as long as we don't play the song.
Yeah.
That's the copyright infringement.
No, the copyright was because you can't say Intercontinental Champion in the lyrics of the song.
In the WCW song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Okay, boy. Wow. I was going to say Jinder Mahal is probably maybe
Never
the biggest.
heard of him.
He ends up, being in three-man band and...
Oh, that guy with the red hair. I got him.
No, that's Heath Slater. Jinder Mahal would be the Indian gentleman.
Oh, the Native American.
He's not a Native American. He's
Tatanka?
No.
Oh.
Buffalo. That's that would be Jinder Mahal from India. He's technically actually from Canada, but he's of Indian descent.
I like him.
Do you?
Not really.
I'm not really crazy about him, but
He's got a crazy ass body though right now.
What a story.
He's got. I don't know. What his physical. If he's like into. I don't. He's not into jiu-jitsu, right?
No.
Is he into taekwondo?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I would guess he's into karate. Body karate. Did you ever see how vascular he is?
I don't understand the body karate reference, though.
Good night.
If you would have said he's got a karate body,
nope.
Because that thing is kicking.
He's got body karate.
I still don't get it.
All right, then.
Could you explain it for me?
Well, like his body has karate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now you get it.
Nope. Nope, still don't. But
all right.
Moving on. He gets released. He ends up doing some indies. Let's just say he takes on an incredible workout regimen, comes back leaner and more jacked than ever, and
took a trip to the gas station, right?
Okay.
Or is that not? No.
He somehow goes from being squashed out on Raw to just 1 week winning a number one contendership match for the WWE Championship, and then just beats Randy Orton for the WWE Championship at Backlash in 2016, I believe, was the year that happened. What a weird time to be a wrestling fan.
What a great time.
But good for Jinder.
Yeah.
Good for him and doing his thing. Maybe it was actually 2017 they won the WWE
I thought
title.
his name was Ginger Mahal.
Ginger? Why would you think that?
Because he was a three-man band.
Again, you're thinking of Heath Slater.
Oh.
He is an actual Ginger.
Okay.
So.
Wait, can we say that?
I think we can, yes. I don't know if cancel culture is that bad that we can't call a redhead a ginger. We'll find out.
Good luck.
If it's canceled this time next week.
Not me, though. Remember, I didn't say that. Okay. Hey, and what are you doing here? I was told I was supposed to have a new co-host this week.
You told yourself that.
Oh, no, I got word from Jordan in the truck.
Oh, okay.
Hello? Oh, hold on, I'm getting word again.
You didn't get any word from him.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay. We're going to do that next week? Okay, thanks. Bye.
All right.
Love you.
All right, are there any other wrestlers that left their respective company, rebuilt their brand, and came back better than ever that we didn't talk about? Then you should send it to us over on social media at Iron on Wrestling on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. And, of course, you should subscribe to the podcast if you haven't done so already, both on iTunes or wherever you download podcasts, and, of course, over on our YouTube. Subscribe. Check out some of the videos we got over on YouTube. Just search Iron on Wrestling. And please leave a comment on iTunes and give us a 5-star review. Creates visibility for the podcast. That would be great. But before we continue, Aaron, I'm still very upset about your situation with your credit card, and I feel bad for you, and I really wish your bank would get things under control. But I don't like you being scammed. What bank are you working with again?
Well, my key is to a different bank.
Okay. Well, I don't want you to ever get Key Bank because they are a scam. In fact, one might say that they are the biggest scammers. And
Key Bank is the biggest scam in the world. The biggest scammers in the world. Not only did they steal $15 from me without a single alert, a single warning, no one told me. Now they're telling me to close the account. I have to spend $25 to close the account after they stole $15 from me.
Oh, no.
Never get Key Bank. They are a scam.
Good to know. Good to know. The more you know. Really. So,
I don't know if you or others realize this, but there are people that get scammed out of thousands of dollars every day.
True.
This one was $15.
$15, yeah.
Okay.
Now they want to charge her a few more dollars to close the account. Terrible.
She should have just took that $5 and got her mustache sniffed by an alpaca.
Well, you could do that if one were inclined to do so. 3 alpacas would have sniffed her mustache for $15.
I'll sniff it.
Okay. Well, we are going to do some other stuff for patreon.com/Iron Wrestling in the extended version of this podcast. We're going to talk some AEW stuff and the announcement of the Owen Hart connection within AEW and our thoughts on that. But that's only going to be exclusively on Patreon. But before we go to do that, something that has been a hot topic on this show, Aaron,
yes,
because everybody's worried about you, is your mental health. And it's something that we've been doing bonus podcast subjects about. It's been a question that we've been getting quite frequently in our Q&A episodes. And, people are genuinely worried about you. But this past week, you took maybe the first step in trying to better your mental health. You want to talk about that?
Okay. Well, I feel like I took the first step months ago when I reached out to try to get a psychiatrist, somebody to talk to, and both appointments were canceled.
The psychiatrist canceled the appointment?
Yeah, they canceled the appointments.
Okay, that seems not typical.
Right.
Were they just not interested in what you had to say?
No, I guess it was the whole COVID thing because they're overbooked. Gotcha. And then maybe these psychiatrists got COVID themselves. I'm not exactly sure, but they had abruptly canceled. And, that's rough for somebody that has some mental health issues going on.
They didn't even try to reschedule?
Nope.
Like,
it was like, we could reschedule you in quite possibly 7 months or something like that. It was real ridiculous.
All right.
But if you can't wait that long, talk to this doctor that works in our facility. They're a qualified, very good professional doctor, and you'll probably enjoy them. So then made an appointment with that one. Got the cancellation off of that. Then tried, I would say, at least 5 other doctors, and all said that they were booked through the year. So I didn't think I had anywhere to turn.
Yeah.
And then we got a message from a listener. Is that how that worked?
Nope.
How did it work?
Well, I've been going to acupressure, acupuncture through Lake Erie Acupuncture.
Yes.
And my buddy Austin, who's a big fan of the show, big fan of professional wrestling. And he actually reached out to me about a year ago. We talked about on the show to do some work on me, make me feel better, both physically and mentally. And when I hurt my shoulder about 2 months ago in a wrestling match, I retore my labrum. I reached out to him. It was something I wanted to try out again, and I did, and I just felt it was good for both my physical and mental well-being. And in dealing with Austin, one of the last times after War Games where I was really I wasn't really that fucked up, and I think it's because of the acupuncture and acupressure that I've been doing. He heard your situation on the podcast, and he basically extended the offer to me to pass along to you if it was something that you were interested in. He really wanted to help you, and that's sort of how it came about.
And I made the contact with him because I didn't know what to do anymore. Here were the options, and let's just put it out there. It was either do this acupuncture or I wouldn't be here. And that's probably where I was. And so I tried the acupuncture. I sent the message. Text out to Austin at Lake Erie Acupuncture. And he immediately texted me back and said, you coming on Wednesday, bruh? And I said, I would love to. Let's try this. I'm ready. I'm down for anything right now. And so Austin set up an appointment. He even sent me a text message that day that said, "Pardon the interruption, ... Okay. But I had a cancellation if you'd like to try to come a little earlier." So he was great. Made me feel extremely comfortable while I was at his place of business, his shop. And he did an evaluation on me, both verbally and then physically. And I believe he diagnosed me with perfection.
Yeah.
He knew exactly what was going on with me. And I kept saying, wow, this is bullshit, maybe, because, he listens to the podcast and he hears the things I have to say.
Yeah.
But I didn't care. I wanted to try to get better. And he stuck 20 needles in me. 3 in each ear. 1 at the top of my head. In my arms. In my legs. Stomach. And my chest. And I'm telling you, I was having these problems, and we talked about it with Uncle Bobby, where I have this uncontrollable sweating. I just can't stop sweating. It's the combination of the anxiety and the depression and the humidity outside, et cetera, et cetera. And I just couldn't get a handle on it. And I felt like shit every day. Well, Austin, he could tell that, and he redistributed the energy. He told me that I was like a hose that got kink in it. And we just had to get that kink out so everything could flow properly again. I got off of the table after having the pin stuck in me. And within 3 minutes of getting off of that table, we were walking outside to end the session. And Austin and I were like shaking hands, saying goodbye. And my teeth were chattering because I was so cold.
Wow.
I was chilly. I haven't been like that in a long, long time.
Yeah.
So all that heat that was building up inside of me, like literal heat, he made sure to take that and redistribute that energy elsewhere throughout the body, so it's not all clammed up, because my stomach turned every day inside, it was such bad news. And I'll tell you what, that was on Wednesday. We are recording this on Monday, and I haven't had a day where I felt like shit since then.
That's great.
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
That Wednesday, that changed things. And I don't care if people say, well, that might be just in your head. Fine. Whatever helps.
Yeah.
And I feel so much better.
That's good.
I'm feeling great right now. And I actually made another appointment to see him this coming Wednesday. And, what are you doing that day?
Well, you know what? We're going to go together, because I, too, made an appointment. And I'm very much looking forward to it, because Lake Erie Acupuncture offers Northeastern Ohio effective, affordable, and alternative medicine. And, of course, Austin is nationally certified. And, oh, my God, I'm losing my voice. Nationally certified and licensed by the state of Ohio. And he does designs specific for you based on the principles of Chinese medicine. And as a practitioner in his 10th year serving the Cleveland area, Austin places emphasis on empowering you, the patient, in the process, and has a variety of tools at his disposal to address your issues. For example, he's worked on my shoulder, he's worked on my neck, and most importantly, which I did not expect with acupressure, he's really effectively diagnosed my mental health issues, and I've opened up to him about things that, I really feel like I'm getting a great discount on a psychiatrist as well when I go to see Austin. It's just been great for me in general, and he helps with everything from allergies to back pain, migraines, digestive issues, and of course, as I mentioned, mental health. So if this is something you're interested in, look into Lake Erie Acupuncture. Give him a call or shoot him a text at 440-251-4754 and see what acupuncture can do for you. That's 440-251-4754. And if you're not in the Northeast Ohio area, check in acupuncture or acupressure somewhere in your neighborhood, because I guarantee you it'll help you, and perhaps maybe you can relieve some tension in your mind and in your life. You know, we talk about relieving tension through acupressure, acupuncture, but you know what sort of keeps my mind at ease?
No, I don't.
When my brain area is finely groomed. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, because your hair is thinning up top?
Okay, that was unnecessary. An unnecessary jab.
No, just honestly.
No, it's not that bad. Okay?
Where is it today?
It's hiding under my hat, but it's looking very voluptuous and full. Okay?
Well, your hat's real far back on your head right now, and I just don't see anything.
We're not talking about my cranium
Oh.
on my neck, you son of a bitch. We're talking about the cranium and brain attached to my dangalang. Okay?
Oh, okay, your small brain.
You know what? Nicole doesn't have a problem with my brain, and her, much like over 70% of mates, prefer a finely groomed man, which I am, because Manscaped has helped me relieve the tension that I feel inside, because I know with Manscaped and the Lawnmower 4.0 that I can keep her engine revving, and I'm always going to look good down below.
So, if one twin likes what you got to offer,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think about the other twin? Does she enjoy a finely groomed male partner?
Well, I would imagine that most twins do have some sort of like connected energy. Okay, I don't know if that could needed a growl from a cat.
Meow.
But I can imagine that Jess would be into a finely groomed man. Now, she would not be able to see what I'm working with because I'm very committed and in love with her sister, Nicole.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if someone else was out on the market and, you know, wanted to show off their, you know, goods, I'm sure if they were finely groomed, she would be very
She's not a
interested.
flight attendant, is she?
Not to my knowledge,
Oh,
no.
okay.
Why?
I was just thinking about wearing my robe.
Oh, boy. Oh,
Helicopter style.
well,
I mean, look how finely groomed this is.
Aaron will
Take
not
a
be
look.
on the show next
Take
week.
a look.
I'm not looking.
Take a look.
No.
Just a peek.
Inappropriate.
Just a little pee-pee peek.
Manscaped.com offers incredible products, including the Lawnmower 4.0, which if you listen to the show, you should know, has a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multifunction on and off switch, which can engage into a travel lock, which is a great feature, and it gives you the ability to turn on a 4000K LED spotlight. So when you need a more precise shave, perhaps maybe you don't have the best lighting situation, that illumination will help you see things clearly. Make sure you can get all those nicks and crannies, but there will be no nicks on your nuts with the Lawnmower 4.0.
Yeah, I think the phrase you were looking for was nooks and crannies.
That too. The package.
Ain't no motherfucker named Nick coming around these parts.
All right. The package, the Performance Package 4.0, that is, also comes with the Weed Whacker to chop the worst weeds up top in both your nose and ears. The Weed Whacker's waterproof, just like the Lawnmower 4.0, and it has a 9,000 RPM motor. It's also got proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in all of those delicate holes. And, of course, if you get the Performance Package 4.0, you'll also be getting some bonus items, which includes the boxer briefs. Very nice, very lovely. You'll get the ball deodorant and so much more. You want smooth balls. You want your mate to see your smooth balls. You want your potential mate, even if it happens to be a twin sister, to see your smooth, well-groomed testicular area. So why not try out Manscaped right now?
Okay.
Go to
Here, watch me.
No, don't do it right now.
Here, wait, hold on.
No,
I'm getting it right
don't
now.
Don't turn
Just
it on.
wait.
Manscaped.com. Go on over there. Use promo code PARDON. It's PARDON. Pardon. You'll save 20%. And
It's hard for me to reach under my left testicular. So could you get it for me?
Nope. No, I can't.
I thought you were a friend.
20% off and free shipping with promo code PARDON. Do it now. You won't regret it. In fact, you'll thank yourself. And you know what? I think your balls will thank you too.
Will they?
I think so. You know, I heard through the grapevine that you might be getting some artwork done. Is that true?
No, not that I've heard of.
Not
You mean the alpaca tattoo on my right arm and the kitty tattoo on my left arm?
That's not what I heard. I actually thought you
What
were
did
going
you
to get
hear?
a photo of you and Jess walking in heaven with her great-great-grandpappy while climbing a mountain to a higher point in heaven while also carrying logs to build a cabin at the top of the mountain. Is that true?
So ridiculous. That would never be what I did. Because I'm not carrying logs. I'm carrying tree branches. We're going to put that motherfucker together from the ground up.
Oh, wow. It's very romantic.
Yes.
Well,
that's kind of my deal.
I feel like if you were to commission that artwork, you could potentially solidify your place in her heart.
And in heaven.
And in heaven. And I feel like the only way you could do that is if you reach out to one man.
One man?
The one and only man to reach out to when it comes to top-notch designs for both T-shirts, paintings, drawings, whatever type of merch and or artwork you're looking to get made to impress a potential client or the one you care about most.
The one you care about most. He's a one-man band!
We're talking about Juan Ortiz and Of the Dead Designs.
I'm sorry, you screwed up his name.
What?
We're going to have to redo this.
I said his name.
It's one of the Ortiz.
That's not true. He's a one-man
That's his
merch
middle name.
company. He's not a one-man band. He's a one-man merch company. Designing merch for you, but also for some of the most prominent wrestlers in the industry today.
Wait a minute, like the Young Bucks and Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan and El Tigre Azul?
Huh?
I don't know.
Kenny Omega.
Oh, I've heard of him.
Road Warrior Animal, R.I.P.
Yeah, I miss him.
The Lucha Brothers.
Oh, what a rush.
Jungle Boy.
Oh, everybody was kung fu fighting.
Gregory Iron.
He's done artwork for you?
You probably think to yourself, with the list of names like that...
Yeah, I'm not the Young Bucks.
No, you're not.
Hey.
How are you going to afford artwork from Juan?
Exactly.
But you know what? He's affordable.
Oh.
Yeah, very cost efficient, and he wants to create merch just for you. Not only the superstars of today, but the superstars of tomorrow, as well as the common man. You know, he wants to create merch for you and or
Dusty Rhodes. We know.
Well, I guess he could create artwork for Dusty Rhodes or for a fan of Dusty Rhodes, but he'll also create anything as far as the design goes for a band of yours, perhaps a podcast, perhaps maybe
Like a three-man band?
Maybe a dance troupe, pee-wee football team. Maybe your cousin's daughter's friends having a school bake sale that you need to make a special shirt or artwork design. Juan could do that. With over 14 years of experience and a portfolio of notable clients, Of the Dead Designs will make your artwork at a super reasonable price. And if you mention this podcast ad, you'll save $10 on your first design. That's right, $10. So go reach out to him right now. Contact Of the Dead Designs right now on Instagram.
That's less than what Key Bank scams you for, right?
It's very true. Find him on Instagram at OfTheDead209, on Facebook at facebook.com/OfTheDeadDesigns.
What do you think the 209 stands for?
Maybe his area code?
Yeah, or his birthday? Maybe he's February 9th?
Maybe.
Okay.
Or you can go to his website, ofthedead.weebly.com. What do you think Weebly stands for?
Oh, Remember Weebly's, what is it? Weebly's bobble, but they don't fall down? Weebly's wobble, but they don't fall down?
The Weebly Wobblies?
Is
that
that
what they're called?
I don't remember.
Weeble Wobble.
Yeah, but it was Weeble's wobble, but they don't fall down.
Yeah. Well, this isn't about Weeble Wobbles. This is about Juan Ortiz. So reach out to him today. Get you some
get
artwork.
a Weeble Wobble shirt, right?
I don't know what you're talking about. You could, sure.
Greg and Aaron has Weeble Wobbles.
Reach out to Juan and maybe come up with a better design than a Weeble Wobble shirt.
Or a better one than people carrying logs on their first date up to the mountaintops of heaven, which don't have mountains.
Heaven can have whatever you want.
Well, I've just heard from a source.
Who?
I'm not telling you. Good journalist never tells, reveals his sources.
Was it God?
Have you been listening in on my phone conversations? Hello, God?
If you're not on patreon.com/Iron Wrestling, you just missed us talk for roughly 23 minutes about our thoughts on Owen Hart being a part of All Elite Wrestling, and we even relived the tragic passing that occurred in 1999 and where we were and how we felt, and some of that might be obvious, but I think it was an interesting discussion, and you can hear that extra 23 minutes for just $3 over at patreon.com/Iron Wrestling, along with so much bonus content. It's definitely worth your time to invest in the content that we're creating, but not just the content, the community that we're building. It's really a safe place for professional wrestling, especially if you're one of the smart ones that realize Twitter is toxic as fuck and you want to talk about wrestling without any fights occurring, or you just want to talk with other people that are like-minded and not only love this podcast but love professional wrestling. You're going to want to sign up at patreon.com/Iron on Wrestling. But that's enough about the free stuff right now. The free stuff's got to continue because we're going to go to the interview with former WWE NXT superstar Curt Stallion, now known as Stallion Rogers. What's he been up to? What's next? We're going to find out right now in that interview with Stallion. Here we go. All right. He was gracious enough to make time for me, and I thoroughly appreciate it. I haven't had an in-depth conversation with him in so long, too long. The last time we had a really in-depth one was about 2 years ago on this podcast, and he's back again. Stallion Rogers, thank you so much for chatting with me.
I enjoyed the circumstances last time because we were just sitting in my car in a parking lot after a show, chilling face to face. Now we're doing this thing.
Virtually, man.
Yeah, I can respect it. You know what I mean? The fact of the matter is I get to talk and chat with you, and that's cool to me. So
hell yeah, man. I'm super excited. But first things first, I got to know right off the top, last time we talked, and obviously in your last run in NXT where you basically came to bigger prominence, you were Curt Stallion. What's with the name change?
Oh, good question. So when I first got there, I can sum it up pretty much. I sold the name to them after being asked if I would like to sell the name. And I told them, I'll never forget Canyon saying, so we want to buy your name from you and we'll pay you this much money. And I go, okay, how about I don't sell you the name right now? And then 10 years from now, say I'm super over making you guys a bunch of money on merch and whatnot. Then I want to sell the name. What do you think about that? He goes, well, we'll just give you a name you don't want, and we'll go from there. And I was like, well, all right.
So it was a done deal. Well, you know what? I think Stallion Rogers has a great ring to it, though.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, I liked the other name more because it's my fucking name.
Yeah, right.
It's like, I did it. That was me. No sour grapes over here. Regardless, people know me as Stallion, so that's why I kept Stallion in there. I was just gonna be Cameron Rogers, my shoot name, but I was like, nobody knows. Like, I'll just be Stallion, and then that's where that's just I don't know what else to say about it other than going into a really long, in-depth story, but it's just like that's to sum it up.
well, whatever, a name change is a name change, but at the end of the day, you're still you. And
Yeah.
and that's what I'm happy about, man. How are you feeling? This last couple of years has been weird for everybody, and you've definitely had your highs and lows. What are you feeling right now?
Hi.
Okay. I should have expected anything else.
Yeah, I'm loving life, man. Everything is awesome. I have zero complaints over here, because if I started complaining, kill me. Like, this is to be cliche as fuck, I'm living a dream, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really enjoying everything that's coming my way, and there's been plenty of opportunities that have been presented to me that I'm super stoked about. So, like, I'm doing great, dude. And I can understand where people might hear that and think, like, oh, like, you just lost your dream job and, like, yada yada. But, like, it's, even whenever I got told I was getting fired, I just was, like, numb to it, I guess. I was like, well, what my exact words were, whenever I got the call, I looked at my phone, I go, oh, shit. And I went outside and I go, I'm getting fired, huh? And he was just like, hey, man, I'm real sorry, this and that. And I was like, dude, it's just your job. You're just making the call, blah, blah, blah. I'm badass. I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Like, I had to convince myself in the moment. But, like, I've never been down about it, to be honest. Like, I never cried. I never, like, was like, what's next? Oh, I just started taking bookings. And yeah, I'm doing fine. Like, I have no reason to be upset, man.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. That's great to hear, because most people would let them set them back, but obviously you didn't do that. But you've always been a fighter. You've always been a hard worker, and every opportunity that you earned, especially that opportunity, while it might have been a little too short-lived in WWE, you worked your ass off for it. The last time we talked, you were just getting off of the tail end of those long car rides, those very long car rides that not many people in your shoes, in your boots, would take. And then you were just starting to get your notoriety on indies. And then I think afterwards, was it the opportunity in Ring of Honor that led to Evolve, that inevitably led to WWE? Like, walk me through that journey, where we left off after we last chatted.
So the Top Prospect tournament at Ring of Honor spawned into nothing for me, essentially, with Ring of Honor, but it helped build my reputation, my name value. And from there, it took about a year maybe, but after a little less than a year later, Gabe messaged me and was like, hey, man, people from my locker room and, like, other locker rooms have pretty much told me to get a hold of you. And he did. And then I remember it was like, I when I first started, I was told to make a list of, like, all my goals and stuff, and I found that list a while back, and it was just so funny seeing it. Like, I had this 5-year plan of, like, from when I started to get to the point where I was doing ROH and then this and that. But in those 5 years, I didn't even see any of that happening. And, like, my second year in, like, I moved to St. Louis and just off to the races. Like, it just 2015, 2016 were, like, just run-of-the-mill years of just grinding. And then 2017 was awesome. 2018. But in those 2 years, I was doing always dark matches all the time. So, like, it was just crazy how it all spun into WWE, which I never sent them a letter. I never sent a feeler, anything. I was just always like, if they want me, they'll call me, and they fucking called. So it was cool.
Yeah, well, I feel like it comes down to the energy that you put out there, because when we chatted on the podcast, I mean, you had all the confidence in the world that your road would inevitably lead to WWE. I'm sad that we didn't yet get to see Stallion versus Randy Orton, but I feel like an opportunity may present itself down the line. But I got to ask, I mean, I'm sure you had a lot of ridiculous interactions behind the scenes at NXT and WWE. Did you ever actually get to meet Randy and talk to him?
Did I ever get to meet Randy Orton?
Yeah, and talk to him.
No, 0%. But my favorite thing, no, one of the best things about my Fed job, I keep calling it my Fed job. One of the best things about the Fed job was at 3 a.m. one night, like while I'm sitting here at home with a fucking broken wrist at the time that I got in training, like the day after my cruiserweight title match on TV. That was gnarly, but separate story. I get on Twitter and it says Randy Orton follows you, and I was just like, I called Riddle and I was like, what did you do? He's like, what are you talking about, bro? I was like, Randy Orton just followed me on Twitter. He's like, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, like he doesn't just hand those out, bro. And I was just like, what did you do? He's like, I didn't do anything. We just talk about you sometimes, man. And I was just like, oh. So it was like, that was one of the coolest things about the whole job for me, honestly, is the fact that my idol followed me on a social media website. That was cool, but not to get too marky about it, you know what I mean? But regardless, I'm gonna be, it's like my inner child came out, dude. I was like,
yeah, dude, it's things like that are overwhelming, because it's like, I think if you stay humble in this, which clearly you have, we have these life moments that, you know, I don't think we should be ashamed of marking out about, like when I went over Austin's house and I did the podcast with him, then when he followed me on social media, dude, I still mark out literally for no reason. This past weekend, like this past weekend, he ended up, he doesn't follow me on Instagram, but I posted a picture of me and my girlfriend, and he randomly commented on it and said, looking good, Irons. And I was like, what the fuck? Why is this a thing that's happening? Like, why didn't you immediately slide into Randy's DMs? Why?
Because I'd be pissed off if somebody slid into my
fair.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of like, I take a step back. I've been around outside of wrestling and inside of wrestling. Yeah. So like, I take a step back and like really like that was a moment I got to soak in, sitting in my bed at 3 a.m, 2 a.m, and just like starry-eyed child looking at my phone, like, is this real? Checking the profile, like there's no way. Like that was a cool moment for me. And you want to hear another cool moment that's like totally braggadocious, but like just mind melting for me?
Yeah, let's hear
it. We were doing rehearsals or whatever they call it before the show, where they walk you through your entrance and like, you know, yada yada, just get all the camera angles right and stuff. Shawn Michaels was like, hey, come here. And I was just like, oh shit, like, yes sir. And Mark's over there and he's just like, you know, when your class first signed and the photo of all you guys came out, my wife pulled me aside. She goes, who stands out here to you? And he goes, I don't know, baby, who stands out to you? And she pointed right at me and she goes, that one. He has the same look in his eyes that he used to have. And when he told me this, I was just like, I put my hand on his shoulder. I go, dude, I got to tell you something real lame right now. I'm about to start crying and I need to walk away from you. And he just goes, all right. And legit, my eyes are watering up. I turn around. It's like a movie. One tear rolls down, like as I'm smiling like a fucking child, dude. And I just walked like away from him. I just had to get away so he didn't see me like just that intimate. That was a oh man moment for me.
I can imagine. And dude, I'm sure that at some point, whether you realize it or not, you probably, depending on how many interactions you had with HBK, you probably got him emotional with something you did or said, because Johnny tells me all the time just how he's always borderline in tears, because that's how much Shawn loves pro wrestling. Besides that interaction, what was it like working with Shawn? And I'm sure you had a lot of interactions with Hunter. What's that like?
They were very just straightforward, like business wise when it came to the TV stuff and like yada yada. I didn't on 205, they don't have much to do with it. They're kind of sitting there at the monitors, like everybody, other people produce that, and they're there at the monitors, but they're just kind of doing their own things and waiting for NXT to come, which is the stressful part of being there, I can assume. But they're very like cool, I guess. Like they just struck me as cool dudes. Like, and my dumbass, like I walk a fine line, I've been told, and apparently I'm just myself all the time. And it was always like Triple H, for instance. One time, he's like, "How's it going, Stallion?" I was just, I go, "Just happy to be here, sir." And then I stop myself. I go, "Fuck that! I'm not just happy to be here. I'm so like I'm ready. I'm gonna go out there and bust my ass for you guys tonight. It's gonna be badass." And he goes, "That's what I like to hear." And then later after the show, there was a post-show meeting, and then he didn't say my name, but he goes, "Somebody came up to me before the show and said that they're not just happy to be here, that they're gonna bust their ass tonight. That's the kind of shit I'm looking for." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Oh, he's talking about me," like losing it. Like they were cool. Like to me, they were cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you talk about how you're not just happy to be there, you do want to bust your ass. I feel like on 205 Live on a consistent basis, you were busting your ass. All those guys on that program were busting their ass. And I feel like you guys would have worked hard regardless, but was there a sense that you guys had to work a little bit harder because of the situation you're in on 205? Because, for a lot of people over the past year, a lot of people don't even realize that 205 Live still exists. And that's no offense or knock to you guys, but there's so much content out there. And I feel like after they stopped doing 205 after SmackDown, it sort of lost momentum. So did you guys look at that as, a challenge to be on 205 and really make the show stand out?
I took the entire job as a challenge, but in the sense of like an opportunity, and being on 205 in my mind was always an opportunity rather than a challenge, because regardless of what show I was on, I was going to go out there and fucking bust my ass, and whoever was in the ring with me, sorry dude, but we're going. And that didn't mean I was going to fucking be cleaning clocks, like just, you know what I mean, but like just
right,
really feeling it,
Yeah.
But so I can see how other guys might have felt like being on 205 was a challenge, because it's like, who the fuck is watching that show besides a bunch of dudes over in like Europe and Asia? And that's the main like audience essentially. Anytime there were comments, it was just indie news and stuff. So, and that's cool, but like I would have liked my friends and family to have been like, "Damn, 205. Like I had friends that would joke and be like, "Her Stallion runs Friday nights at 10 p.m. and that would make me feel cool. But like other than that, it's like nobody else is talking about it. And it didn't like, I wasn't content with the fact that I was just wrestling on 205. That wasn't the opportunity. It was more the fact that I was wrestling for WWE, where I was just like, fuck yeah. Like, that was my thought process.
Hell yeah. And you took advantage of that opportunity to the fullest extent. I mean, you end up winning the #1 contenders match early on for a shot at the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. And then probably one of my favorite matches during your run was you against Escobar for the NXT Championship. Was that the highlight of WWE for you, working with someone of that caliber? Or was there another moment that stands out for you?
Honestly, going into WWE, my dream program starting out was to work with Legado del Fantasma, because I'm from Texas and all my friends and family are Mexican. So like my girlfriend, if she's in there, she's Mexican. Like that's what I wanted to do. And going in there in a program like that was awesome. But everything got derailed 2 weeks or 1 week before I was going to debut on TV. Here's a fun fact. I got knocked out in a PC Live match in front of, which is like a training match at the PC, in front of Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Canyon Ceman, William Regal, Finn Balor, just you name it, everybody was there. And it was me versus Tino Sabatelli in the main event of that day. and it was like a big thing. And I was told that they were like looking at me essentially. And we go out, we have this match. It's 10 minutes, main event. I get knocked unconscious in the first 60 seconds.
Oh God.
And he covered me. he drop kicks me right. So the thing is, you can't just sit here and like fucking shit on somebody. And I'm not going to, because he apologized. Took him a little bit, but he was pushing me too hard into the ropes, and I would like lose my footing and fall through the ropes. And anyhow, he did it twice, and on the second one, I took a drop kick right in the head, and it just knocked my clock like clean.
Jeez.
And afterwards, they told me like, don't watch the video, don't watch the video. I watched the video. He's like, that's how you work. After he drop kicked me, he covers me 1, 2, 3.
Oh my God.
Stuff that was just like, and then everybody's just like, and then I sit up like the Undertaker, and I go, that's never happened before.
Oh my God.
The doctor just goes, yeah, he has a concussion. And I was like, I didn't feel like I had a concussion, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man, like I just literally didn't feel anything, didn't think anything, didn't see anything for like 7 seconds, like just darkness. And I was just like, that's never, like, it kind of freaked me out for a second, but I've kept that in my own head, you know what I mean? I was just like, damn, that's wild.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it was the next night. That was Tuesday. So Wednesday, I had to wrestle Santos on TV for the title, and they had to push it back a week. So that was why I got jumped backstage and was laying there. And I got real mad at creative because they told me to lay there and say it was Legato. And I was like, wasn't it obviously Legato? The same people that have been jumping me every week, why would I have to vocalize that? Like, be a stooge. Like, that's lame as fuck. And they're just like, just say it. I'm just like, God damn, you're lucky I'm you. It was Legato. Like, fucking, yeah, so there's that. And then the next week they had decided, oh, we want to do Killer Cross versus Phantasma at the next show. So my thought process was, okay, they're obviously like, they don't want Santos to go into that match with Cross weak. So I can't go all badass and fucking like do 100 million things. I need to sell and show them how badass I am at selling. And then when we had this match, I remember he gave me a backbreaker on the steps, and I thought that was such a big moment for a WWE match. And I was like, man, I'm gonna sell the fuck out of this. But he did it while they were on fucking commercial, and then they never showed a replay of it. So I'm like selling just like a jackass. I just felt real stupid about that to this day. But like, to get roundabout all the way back full circle, my personal favorite moment of my entire time in WWE was my match with Mansoor.
Yeah.
Because it was one of those matches where I came back and like all the production dudes were just like, fucking yeah, and it made me feel fucking great. So that match, that night, that was my favorite time.
Yeah,
Even the Wrestle Cup was cool too, honestly. That was a cool moment, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
like that, sharing that with AG too. Me and AG have a crazy, like, we're conjoined at the hip at this point, but it's tight.
Yeah, no, talk to me about the relationship with AG, because Anthony Green, or, you know, for those people that followed NXT in 205, August Gray, he's one of my favorite people too, just like you. And, you know, when I first met Anthony, I actually forgot the first time I met him until we started teaming together in Canada. And he reminded me, he reffed one of my matches back in like 2012, 2013, when I was teaming with Veda Scott, and then he busted his ass to break out of the referee mold and became this incredible wrestler, and we end up teaming together. And what I was blown away by when I started working with Anthony was just how smart he was and the great ideas that he had. Because, you know, sometimes when you start working with someone right off the bat, you don't know if the chemistry is going to be there, and sometimes they have ideas where you might have to tweak and play with a little bit. I feel like I never really had to mess with AG's ideas because they're just fucking good, plain and simple. So talk to me about your relationship with AG and like where that stems from and how it's going right now.
I legit told somebody earlier today, like, I don't think I could ever have a bad match with AG. Like, but I legit text that to somebody earlier because he's got it. He's an encyclopedia and he's a whiz. Like, anyhow, enough sucking his. So I first met him in Canada at Ethan Page's Alpha One, I believe that's where it was. He knows everything. He would know every detail, what I was wearing, what I smelled like. He would just be able to tell you. But he tells me the first time we met, I barely remembered him. The reason I remembered meeting him there was because he told me the first time I met you, I hated you. And I was like, wow, I get that a lot.
You do. That's what I told you on the first podcast we did.
Like, legit, I get that so much. And everybody's like, I just need to talk to you. And then they're like, oh, like, you're not a fucking asshole. I'm like, I am an asshole, but like not the kind you thought of. Like, oh, like I'm admittedly an asshole and I own it. But regardless, it was one of those things where our careers almost paralleled. We started at the same time. I didn't start doing the reffing stuff. Like, I reffed in training essentially, but that was it. And then we came up same time. We started doing like bigger stuff around 2015, 2016, 2017, and then we met at Evolve, and that's where it really, like, once we got to Evolve together, I was signed, and the next show he was signed, and then we were put in a match together, and then Gabe was just like, then he made us tag, and then he's like, and then he made us feud, and then we go to WWE, and then in there we're put together, and it's just like, we get fired together, like it was hired and fired together. Like, we got the call, he knows this, he says it all the time. We got the call on the same day, we got hired the same day, we got fired the same day, and then something else the same day. And then we ended up tagging on Dark, which airs tonight sometime, which he's probably fucking anxiously awaiting. And I'm more the type of person, like, I'd like to watch it if I was sitting with him, rather than making my girlfriend be like, hey, check this out, watch me like wrestle, check it out, because she did.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I'll watch it at some point, but I'm excited that, like, I'm excited about the match. That's for sure. Like, that was a fucking
yeah.
Well, dude, imagine like just showing up somewhere not knowing what you're doing. They're like, "Oh, you're wrestling FTR." Like, are you sure?
Yeah. Arguably one of the best tag teams in wrestling right now. And you know, that you look, you get fired from WWE and you're sort of down for a little bit, not mentally, but you know, I guess from the outside looking in, you're sort of financially, you're definitely down and out. Right. But then very quickly you get this opportunity at AEW, and who knows where that's going to go. Maybe, you know, you don't have to tell us, but how did that come about? Is it because of, did you have a conversation with Kingston, or how did it come about?
No, me and Eddie are good friends, and he lives right up the road here in Orlando. We hang out often. But no, Eddie's words to Tony constantly are, the only person I'll vouch for is homicide. And I respect the fuck out of that. Regardless, we're friends, yada yada. But whenever I was at the PC, my coach, Sanjay Dutt, didn't like the way things were backstage, so he took his ball and fucking went elsewhere, and it worked out well for him, I think. I don't know that that's exactly how it went down, but that's how I think. Regardless, he went and worked at AEW. He didn't get fired from WWE like the rest of us did. So he texted me and was just like, hey, I might have something for you. Like, I'm not guaranteeing it. And I was just like, thank you, dude. Like, what the fuck? I really appreciate that. Like, I love that guy. And sure enough, I get the email, and I was just like, well, god damn, here we go. And then I get a text from AG with a bunch of emojis, because he's the type, I didn't do this, he's the type of person that looks at the CCs and sees every person that was in the email, and I guess it saw my name in there, it was like, and I was like, So that was cool.
Love it. Now, you getting the opportunity to wrestle down at Universal, that's got to be a pretty cool thing too. Just like when you think about the history of wrestling down at Universal, you think about WCW at Center Stage, and then you fast forward a few years in TNA, and now you're a part of this, I guess, wrestling revolution of sorts with AEW. You get that opportunity there. I mean, did you think about that at all? And what was it like backstage at AEW compared to the environment at WWE?
Everybody knew each other, so that was it made it more chill, I guess is a good way to put it. But it was also very professional in the sense of the guys that were doing what they needed to do were fucking doing it, and they were doing it to do it. Like very, very prompt, on point. And I'm not gonna sit here and fucking suck this company either. Like I'm just, you know what I mean? Like
it's not your style. That's not your style.
They were cool. Like they did everything right. They had 50 matches in 8 hours. So any indie company out there ever does not have an excuse ever again. That's horseshit. So fucking unbelievable on their part. Like legit. 50 matches in 8 hours, dude. Like and the crowd stayed hot. Like this just it was tight. So yeah, it was cool. It was crazy. I mean, we were just like it was just the old TNA setup. It wasn't the old setup, but it was like the old studio building, whatever, like, or one over, I don't know. But the fact is, like, it was just very cool seeing like Sanjay be all nostalgic and like everybody, like Eddie and them talking about it. Like, it was dope.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you got an opportunity to be a part of that, and who knows where it's going to go in the future. But I think the future is bright for you. But also, you know, like you're just a down to earth dude. You're so cool and so personable. And I know one of the reasons why you're such an incredible wrestler is because you've really maintained that fandom, and you never lose sight of the fact that you are still a fan. But, you know, I saw on your personal Facebook recently, and I don't know if you posted this on Twitter or anywhere else, you had an interaction with a young fan, a 4-year-old fan that it really warmed my heart to read, because I get moments like that with fans where I'm just like, because like sometimes, you know, you go on Twitter and you see the toxicity that is Twitter, and it's very frustrating. You sort of lose hope for pro wrestling, but then you have a personal interaction like this, and it's like, oh my God, this is why I'm a wrestler. Fuck Twitter. This is why I wrestle. So tell me about that experience with the kid.
Well, like you just said about Twitter and people in general, I don't sell merch. Like, I just don't care. Like, I want to go out there and like make the people that want to feel something, and then just go on about my business. I'm like Brock Lesnar. I show up every once in a while and make people go, oh, and then I'm gone. But like,
it'd be nice if you get Brock Lesnar pay though, right?
Yeah. Compared to some people now, yeah, no. So I'm walking out of the building, just got my bag. I said bye to who I needed to, and it was the weirdest, like, I just knew this kid was mistaking me for somebody else because of how, like his, it was just, like, crazy, like, how lit up his face was. Like, I was, like, fucking Santa Claus or something, or a ghost. Like, he was just like, and it's you. It's really you. And all I could do, I didn't want to like crush the kid. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not who you think. I pointed, I winked, and I rubbed his head. Like he had a little baseball hat on. It was legit like a movie, dude. And I've said that twice now, but like, he had a little hat on, and I rubbed his head like that. And I just kept walking, and I heard him yell to his mom, who's maybe like 10 feet away, just, Mom, it's him. I got to say hi to Stallion. And I legit was just like my stomach, like it was like I was going down a roller coaster, dude. And I fucking just like both eyes just welled up, and I was just like I was gonna throw up, dude. But I was like so just,
yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't turn around. I just kept walking. Like I couldn't. Like I kept going. I probably even sped up because my eyes were fucking pouring. I was like, whoa. Yeah. So it was crazy, dude. That was one of my favorite moments ever. Like,
I love that, dude. I'm glad you got to have that moment. You know what? I only got to talk to you briefly at GCW in person a couple weeks ago. There was another moment that I thought was really cool that I got to see you have, and that's you versus Too Cold Scorpio. I mean, that had to be ridiculous. But also, my favorite part of that whole scenario is following the match online. I don't know if you saw it. Someone posted a video of like Scorp doing the flip gimmick on the Eddie, and then doing it to you 25 years later. Like what the fuck, man? That's so cool, right?
Saw that too, and I loved it. Oh, it made me just gave me butterflies in the best of ways. But yeah, that match, honestly, fun fact, I was having nightmares about that match. Like for 2 weeks, I had 3 nightmares about it. You can ask her, you can ask other people. Like I was legit like waking up in cold sweats. Like, cause in the dream, he just wasn't selling, brother. He was just taking the punches and just looking at me. And then he would beat my fucking ass, and I just couldn't do anything. It was like I felt like a Dragon Ball Z character fighting a way stronger Dragon Ball Z character, and they were just like pummeling. He was just like fucking me up, dude. Every night, like I'd fall asleep and just pray that I wasn't gonna have a 2-cold Scorpio dream. And yeah, whenever I got there, I even told him just to like find a way. I'm never anxious before a match. Like, and that's not like, I don't mean that in a bad way. I know what I was born to do, and it's professionally fucking wrestle. So I'm there doing what I was born to fucking do, and I'm excited and ready, and I'm never anxious. I was fucking anxious, dude. And I told him straight, I was trying to find a way to alleviate. I'm smoking blunts with him. I don't even smoke blunts. I smoke bowls. And I was like trying to just do whatever I had to do. And I was just like, man, like, sir, I'm anxious, and I'm never anxious. And I keep having nightmares that you're gonna beat the fuck out of me. And like, I know you're a cool guy. We know each other. Like, I've smoked with him before. Like, he's a cool dude. Like, I've hung out, chill with him. He's great. We were both from Texas. Like, haha. But this wrestler named Bolt Brady messaged me when he saw he doesn't wrestle anymore, but he used to go by Bolt Brady. He messaged me when he saw the flyer of me versus Scorp, and he said, the only person I've ever seen beat the shit out of ACH was him, like the way I did. And I was like, what? Because ACH was the first wrestler that I ever wrestled that was like name value wrestler, and he fucking pieced me up. But he was in a dark place at the time because he was getting bullied hardcore at ROH, which is a separate story, none of my business. But like, that's why I got pieced up that fucking day. And that was always something in the back of my head. Whenever he told me that about Scorp, it just gave me fucking nightmares, dude. And I was like, oh my God, fuck. And yeah. And he said that Scorp told him after the match, he just rubbed Albert's head like I did that little kid, and was just like, it's tough love. And I was just like, man, so I was shitting bricks. But we go out there, we have that match, and we call, I don't like talking about this part even on interviews, but I'm going to with you. We called the match 13 fucking times separately. I started counting after 4. He kept changing stuff, like this year. And I once we got to like 10 or 11, I started suggesting like, hey, like I know what I do, you know what you do, and I definitely know what you do now. Like, let's just go out there and do it. Like, I told him exactly what I wanted to do last, and he's like, we can make that work. And legit, like, once that happened, once we stopped calling, everything, just all the anxiety, all the pressure, everything just went away. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go out there and have a fucking match with Scorp, who's been doing this for fucking 35 years and knows how to go out there and just have a fucking match. I've been doing that since I got fired. I've been asking guys like, hey, can we just go out there and like, this is what I want to do for the finish? And sometimes guys are like, yeah, and sometimes guys are like, but that's what I want to do. And going out there with him and doing it was just like, like, don't get me wrong, he fucking lit me up, dude. Like, his scorpion kick in the corner, God damn. I remember looking at the front row and going, God damn. And they were just like laughing, like, but it was, to me, it wasn't funny. I was like dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a dream come true, honestly. He fucked me up, but like, it was sweet. Like, I couldn't ask for anything better, man. Like, that was so badass.
Well, it was a dream to watch. I mean, it was probably one of the best matches on the show that night, but you always deliver. And, you know, when we talk about dreams, I'm sure for you, Stallion Rogers, the dream is far from over. So, you know, you get fired from WWE, you're getting this opportunity in AEW, you're back full time on the indies. You've got a lot of dates coming up in the future. You're staying busy. What does the future hold? What do you see in the future for Stallion Rogers?
Well, whenever borders open back up and everything's cool, Japan hit me up an hour after I got fired.
Oh,
So,
wow.
like literally. So I won't say anything other than that, but like that's something I got to look forward to. Like, this is another part like where I don't like to share like what I do or what's coming up essentially, you know what I mean? Like I like to keep that like when it happens kind of thing. So like I'm just gonna I'll leave you with that. That's what I just said about Japan's more than I've said to anybody else. So like there you go about that. But
Your secret is safe with me. I'm excited about what's to come for the future for you. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me for a little bit. I'm sure we can talk about so much more. We'll probably talk for a few minutes after we stop recording this because I love you, brother, man. I miss you. I love talking with you. You have a shit ton of stories. You're always a joy to speak with. But of course, I always ask everybody this. I asked you this 2 years ago. Times have changed a little bit. What inspires Stallion Rogers to keep going?
Man, you asked that right whenever The Simpsons stopped playing and started over in the living room, and I made my girl shut up real loud so that she couldn't hear me in here talking. Because I was gonna say, like, at this point, like, I haven't done even like 25% of what I want to do. So that's a big motivational factor. I'm not anywhere near ready to stop, but I would like to be able to support a family financially, and that would be cool. I'm 31 years old, like, giving it thought process here and there, but like nowhere near ready that either for that. So like those are motivating factors, but Randy Orton, Goku, Han Solo, all the traditional fucking
Hell yeah. I wouldn't expect anything less from you, man. I can't thank you enough. I look forward to seeing you again in person, and you are just the man. And I just want to tell you, like, there's like a class of guys that I think are so good in this day and age of pro wrestling that like you got guys that are Twitter over, and you're not Twitter over, but people know you're good. But I feel like people lose sight of how good you are because you're not Twitter over. I don't know if that makes sense. Like a guy like you, AG, Cody Lane, I feel like is in that class. You know what I mean? Like you're just so fucking good, and I'm so excited about what's in your future, man.
Thank you, dude. I really appreciate that. I love the fuck out of you.
I love you more, and I can't wait to see you soon.
That was the interview with Stallion Rogers. I'm so glad I got to catch up with my friend, and I'm glad he's doing well. He's such an inspiring dude. I appreciate him sharing his story and his journey, and his journey is far from over. Who knows where he'll end up next? I think we got a little bit of an idea where he's going, but I'm excited for what the future holds for this still very young man. How about you, Aaron?
Yeah, did he plug his social media?
He sure did.
Okay, can you reiterate?
Yes, I can. You can find him on Instagram at Stallion Rogers, or you can follow him on his verified Twitter at Cameron C. Rogers. That's CAMRONC Rogers. And he would appreciate the follow. I think it's a great follow. And if you've never watched Stallion's work, you got to check him out. He's just very intense. And if you learned anything from this interview and his previous interview, which again is way back in one of the first episodes, I do believe it's episode 5.
Because you told me this guy is WWE bound. And I don't know that you said it on the podcast, but I remember you saying it off microphone for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, we got a good get this week. We got Kurt Stallion.
And the fact that WWE let him go, I feel like is probably a mistake, but you could be the judge of that with this interview, which I think was a great one. And we have more great interviews to come, more great episodes to come. This is I was going to say 200. Geez, we haven't got that far yet. 121 episodes in the can. 2 years of this. I can't believe it's been that long already. Time flies when you're having fun. And I said it before, I'll say it again, Aaron, even though you're a dickhead sometimes, and you annoy the shit out of me, and you interrupt me far too often, I can't imagine 2 years with anybody else. Thank you for that.
Well, if I can break down a little bit the walls and, come clean here and just tell you something, shoot off the cuff.
Oh, man, okay.
Fuck you.
All right.
We don't need to be like bitches.
Seems unnecessary, but why don't we just end the show? Because you know what?
Fuck you.
We could do 3 things about something for Emily.
Here, I got 3 words for you.
What?
Fuck you.
That's only 2 words.
Greg.
Okay, that works a little better. We could do any number of bits to end the show, but I feel like the best thing we do is just plug our social medias, which you can find me at Gregory Iron.
Oh, I'm
Twitter.
Greg. I like to be early for things now.
Find me on Instagram at Gregory_Iron. Find me on Facebook, which is now verified somehow, my private Facebook, facebook.com/Gregory Iron. Go to my website, gregory-iron.com, if you'd like to book me for pro wrestling, motivational speaking, wrestling seminars, anything else. Reach out to me either there or via DM. You can also drop me an email, gregory_iron@yahoo.com. Go to my Cameo, get a shout out for any occasion. Just search Gregory Iron on Cameo. Aaron, what would you like to plug?
You can find me on it's not Twitter, it's Kitter, as in Kitt.
Never heard of it.
Well, it's when you're a kitten and you like to go
meow. It's not a real thing.
Meow at meow.com.
Okay, apparently he doesn't want to plug anything that's real. So
Fair to Air. That's the Twitter, and Fair to Aaron. That's the Instagram. And meow meow. And Kitty wanna tweet.
Pretty sure you mixed up your own social media handles, but that's fine.
Nope.
Whatever. We're just going to end the show, and we're not going to close out with a song. We're going to close out a little something from Norm, because we love Norm Macdonald, and we miss him, and we will always and forever laugh with him.
And we respect him.
We do.
He went through 9 years.
He did.
Didn't tell a soul.
What an incredible man.
Yeah.
What a tough son of a bitch. Thank you for the memories, Norm. Thank you for the laughter. You will be forever missed.
What an influence.
And I feel like we shouldn't kiss each other. We should give a big kiss up in the sky for Norm.
Now, not all your material comes from the news. Is that right?
No, some of my material comes. My strongest material comes from real life.
Real life?
Like, for instance, today I was driving in a car.
Mm-hmm.
You were kind enough to bring a car to bring this old chunk of coal here to the studio.
We send cars for our guests, yes.
Yeah, so I got in it, and I get material that way. So my driver.
What do you mean? How do you get material that way? You get in the car, and what happens?
My driver tells me a joke.
The driver we sent to pick you up told you a joke.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell it now on the show.
Yeah, that's how I get a lot of my material.
Okay. Why don't we just have him on next time?
That guy. That guy. No, wait till you hear me do it. So the guy, he goes, I say, I'll be the guy.
Okay.
A moth goes into a podiatrist's office.
A moth goes into a podiatrist's office, all right.
You are correct. A moth goes into a podiatrist's office, and the podiatrist's office says, "What's the problem?" And the moth says, "What's the problem? Where do I begin, man?" He goes, "I go to work for Gregory Linovich, and all day long I work." Honestly, Doc, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I don't even know if Gregory Linovich knows. He only knows that he has power over me, and that seems to bring him happiness. But I don't know. I wake up in a malaise, and I I walk here and there. And the podiatrist says, oh, yeah? And the moth goes, yes. And he goes, at night, I sometimes wake up and I turn to some old lady in my bed that's on my arm. A lady that I once loved, Doc. I don't know where to turn to. My youngest, Alexandria, she fell in the cold of last year. The cold took her down, as it did many of us. And my other boy, and this is the hardest pill to swallow, Doc. My other boy, Gregory Ivan. I no longer love him. As much as it pains me to say, when I look in his eyes, all I see is the same cowardice that I catch when I take a glimpse of my own face in the mirror. If only the cowardice was stronger, then perhaps I could bring myself to reach over to that cocked and loaded gun that lays on the bedside behind me and end this hellish facade once and for all.
How long a drive was this? Do you live in the valley? Where do you live? Please, sorry.
He says, Doc, sometimes I feel like a spider, even though I'm a moth, just barely hanging on to my web with an everlasting fire underneath me. I'm not feeling good. And so the doctor says, Moth, man, you're troubled. But you should be seeing a psychiatrist. Why on earth did you come here? And then the moth said, because the light was on.
My congratulations to anyone who stuck it through to the end.